As you know, I traditionally like to introduce everybody behind me. So with that, I will start with, to my left is Detective Greg Welsh. He is our in-house firearms examiner who is an expert in his craft, and we're so lucky to have him here. This is his home base for our office. Behind him, to his left, is Chief Gregory Beidler. To his right, Deputy Chief Jack Slattery. Directly behind me is Commissioner Bob Harvey. To his right, First Assistant Edward Luca. And to his right, Commissioner Diane Marseglia. I'm Bucks County District Attorney Jen Schorn. I'm so pleased to announce that not only do we have a highly trained expert firearms examiner working in-house out of the Bucks County District Attorney's Office, but now we finally have a fully operational ballistics and firearms lab. And we're going to give a demonstration of that lab, but I wanted to take the opportunity to explain what that means for us in Bucks County and keeping our community safe. It means that Detective Welsh, our expert, now has the tools at his disposal to immediately examine either evidence recovered from a shooting scene or evidence from a firearm and turn that investigative material around within hours if the need arises. Typically, this type of analysis would take months. So as you can imagine, having these resources and our expert available to do that means that actionable leads will be developed in these cases that will serve all of Bucks County, all of our law enforcement community here in Bucks County. But in addition to that, we also have this tremendous partnership through NIBIN, which is the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network. And what that means is any evidence analyzed by Detective Welsh can be submitted to the NIBIN terminal, and that evidence is immediately analyzed. And it's not only solving cases here in Bucks County and our surrounding counties, but it helps solve cases in surrounding states. So this is a game changer as it relates to combating gun violence in our community and our surrounding communities. And we're so grateful. We would not have the resources to hire an expert like Detective Greg Welsh and our team of firearms investigators and have the resources to invest in this lab and this equipment without the grant that we received from the Pennsylvania Crime on Delinquency, and furthermore with the support that the commissioners have pledged to continue to fund this when that grant expires. So I thank you for being here. I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Harvey to say a few remarks, and then Detective Welsh is here to answer any questions you may have, and then we'll do a tour and demonstration of the lab and of the firing tag, which is obviously the most interesting part of the work Detective Welsh does. So I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Ms. Schorn. Thank you for being here. We cannot go a day in this country, obviously, without hearing news of a gun crime committed somewhere. Thankfully, here in Bucks County, those crimes are rare, but they do occur. So the commissioners, myself, Commissioner Marseglia, Commissioner DiGirolamo could not be here today, are thrilled that we're able to support the position Detective Welsh is in through the support of the financial support and going along with the grant that you've heard about. And the continuing obligations that will go with keeping this equipment as current as we can make it, as functional, and certainly supporting Detective Welsh and all the other detectives here in Bucks County in the DA's office as they investigate any crime connected to a gun, whether it happens here in Bucks County or it's connected to a crime elsewhere. It certainly is essential. We're really pleased that we have really this kind of level of equipment. We think that Bucks County is the envy of most of the counties in this Commonwealth for a lot of reasons, and having this equipment just is another reason why Bucks County is first in this Commonwealth. So I'll turn it over back to any questions for Detective Welsh.
Thank you. All right, are there any questions?
What makes this lab? Sure. I came from Philadelphia. They're a firearms identification unit. And now that we are self-contained, I can do everything that I did there without going to other labs using their equipment and their facilities. So, for example, like DA Schorn said, if you needed answers immediately, I can go and start working on it as soon as the evidence is submitted and give the primary detective the answers that he was inquiring about.
I know that you're going to give us a demonstration, but can you kind of walk us through what you're going to show us?
Sure, sure. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up my duty firearm, and we're going to take a test shot. So when the officers recover a firearm, what we want to do is test the firearm, use the sample, and submit the fired cartridge case into NIBIN. As we said, we're looking for possible matches to other cases. So that gun that was recovered from a car stop may have evidence connected to a homicide. And at the end of the day, we want to get the answers, and we want to get the correct answers for these investigations.
Are you working solo, or do you have a team? And how often is this laboratory and the firing tank going to be used, do you think?
I am the solo firearms examiner. However, our community is very small, firearms examiners, so I utilize Delaware County, Pennsylvania State Police, Montco, Chester County. They also have firearms examiners, and we'll take our evidence, or they'll bring their evidence here, and we will make a peer review that my findings and their findings would be the same.
And if I could just add to that, what's important and a key component I failed to mention is not only does Detective Greg Welsh do the work here, the analytical work, but then he is the expert that testifies in court for when we need to prove that this firearm was used in this crime. And as he points out, as far as the NIBIN partnership, the first submissions we entered into NIBIN, if I'm not mistaken, connected to 2 violent crimes, 1 homicide out of New York, and I think 1 attempted murder out of New York City. So that is the value of this integrated network. So it's the work that we're doing here in conjunction with our NIBIN partnership, and it's a game changer in making sure we hold people accountable for gun crime.
Is Bucks County the only county that has one of these in its?
No, we are fortunate though. If my math serves me correct, there's only about 10% of the counties in the Commonwealth that have their own expert and in-house lab. And the vast majority of them, it's Philadelphia, Montgomery County, Chester County, Delaware County, and Bucks, and I believe Allegheny. There may be 1 or 2 others, but, and again, this is not to suggest that the state police is failing anyone in the law enforcement community because of the time that it takes to do the analytical work and the test work. They're servicing 90% of the Commonwealth. So this allows us to be independent but work in conjunction with them when the need arises. So it's really critical, but we're very proud of this. But it could not have been done without the grant from PCCD and the support that the commissioners have pledged.
I know the county used to rely on Montgomery County for some of this type of work.
Yes.
And also obviously outside agencies, state, federal. I guess how much work does this take off of those agencies and bring in-house, and how does the speed get impacted?
That's a great question, and every one of us who has handled a homicide case has had to beg that favor in the past from Montgomery County, and sometimes it was the difference between the perpetrator being out on the street versus being arrested, because the critical direct evidence we needed to be analyzed. And so, you know, Montgomery County was a phenomenal partner, but that's a burden, so we're unburdening them. But again, we have wonderful assistance when we need peer review, and that's part of the standard we attorneys know we need to meet when we're in the courtroom. But great question.
Like the county has rapid DNA, but obviously that's not always the same in court as like sending it to a lab for a full test. How does something like this compare?
Do you want to speak to that? So,
like with rapid DNA, I know sometimes they have to send it off to another like NMS or FBI or whatever.
Sure. For my purposes,
you can take this and testify in court, and
yes.
You don't, okay.
Like I said, as soon as you give me the evidence, I examine it, identify everything, create a report. That's then submitted to the investigators, the DAs, and when it is time for court, I can testify to that report. Everything that I did, I have over 150 expert testimonies, and I've been doing this for over 17 years.
And to your point, rapid is not admissible in court because it doesn't meet the standard, the Fry standard, but the traditional STR DNA is. This, from soup to nuts, everything Detective Greg Welsh is doing meets that standard. So we have the confidence in knowing we have such a highly trained expert that we were lucky enough to recruit from Philadelphia. And to prepare for this press conference, I used his application and resume to make sure I could convey the value that he offers to our office and this lab offers to our office.
A couple of positives, I mean, there's a lot of positives, a couple other positives here. Not only can you pay it forward, but you could also end up helping to solve more crimes in other jurisdictions. And also, once the bad guys know you can trace their guns a lot faster, maybe they don't come to us with guns.
And we're hoping it's a deterrent, and it is, yes, because the unique individual imprint that these pieces of evidence offer, absolutely. With this skill and the resources we have here, we hope it's a deterrent, but if it's not, we're confident we're going to solve the case.
Could you briefly just talk about the new gun task force that DA's office has stood up and kind of how that works?
Do you want to speak to that, or do you want me to speak to that? We have, in addition, thanks to this grant, not only were we able to secure the services of Detective Greg Welsh, but a number of detectives who are primarily and almost exclusively tasked with investigating any gun crimes. We're seeing some trends like switches being entering into the criminal element, and it's a conversion, takes a handgun and makes it fully automatic. The detectives that we have working out of our office are not just working cases that our office generates, they're assisting all of the municipal police departments in Bucks County to gather intelligence, develop leads and actionable leads to identify the perpetrators. So it's absolutely invaluable to have that team of outstanding detectives. Thank you. If there are no more questions,